Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a frankly staggering achievement of human engineering. It's orbiting exactly 400 kilometers above our heads right this very second. We're talking about the International Space Station, the Flying Laboratory.
Let's kick things off with this mind-bending number, 16. Because this machine orbits the Earth so incredibly fast, the 7 human beings living on board witness exactly 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every single day. I mean, while we're down here experiencing just one morning and one night, the crew up there, they're cycling through day and night every hour and a half. It's wild.
And the sheer physical scale of this thing is just massive. It is the largest human-made structure ever assembled in space. To put that into perspective, it spans the exact dimensions of a standard American football field. So imagine a sprawling, hyper-complex flying laboratory just literally suspended 240 miles above the Earth.
Part 1. Assembling a Space Giant. So how did this all come together? Well, the story actually begins back in 1998, when Russia launched the very first module, known as Zarya. And then, just weeks later, the US added the Unity module. From that point on, it took over a decade of constant, painstaking assembly until construction was finally deemed complete in 2011.
What's truly amazing here is the unprecedented global cooperation it took to pull this off. This project united 5 separate space agencies: NASA from the US, Roscosmos from Russia, JAXA from Japan, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. It's a massive testament to what humanity can actually accomplish when we share a common goal.
But getting all those pieces together up in orbit? Yeah, that was no small feat. It required more than 40 highly complex missions just to launch the individual components and assemble this orbital giant. Over 40 times, rockets had to pierce through Earth's atmosphere, carrying these delicate parts that would eventually lock together in the deadly vacuum of space.
Part 2. The billion-dollar outpost. The staggering construction cost sits at $150 billion. That makes the International Space Station the single most expensive object ever constructed by human beings. Take a second to really let that number sink in. $150 billion to build our very first true outpost in the stars.
But, the financial commitment doesn't just stop with the build. When you contrast that $150 billion initial cost with the upkeep, well, it takes nearly $3 billion every single year just to keep the lights on and the station running safely.
And if you're wondering why that annual cost is so astronomical, pun intended, this quote perfectly captures the reality of space habitation. Every bolt, every wire, every breath of air on board had to be launched from Earth. This massive yearly cost makes absolute sense when you realize that every single resource necessary for human survival, water, food, spare parts, and literally the oxygen they breathe, must be blasted up from our planet's surface in a rocket.
Part 3. Life in zero gravity.
Up there, it's not just about surviving. It's about pushing the absolute boundaries of science. The crew runs thousands of vital experiments. They're growing experimental food, testing new medicines, and studying the human body's reaction to long-term zero gravity. This research is absolutely crucial for our continued survival and eventually our expansion off-world.
And here's the crazy part. While the astronauts are, looking through microscopes and tending to fragile plants, they are hurtling through the vacuum of space at an astonishing 17,500 miles per hour.
To put that speed into perspective, that is fast enough to circle the entire planet in just 90 minutes. This velocity lets them lap the Earth every hour and a half. And what's really wonderful is that, because of this speed and its sheer size, the station essentially turns into a bright, fast-moving star. If you know when to look on a clear night, you don't even need a telescope. You can actually see it gliding across the sky with your own 2 eyes.
Part 4. The next giant leap. Which brings us to a huge question currently echoing through the space community. What happens after 2030? See, the International Space Station, after serving as our home in orbit for decades, is set to retire around the year 2030. And this inevitably leaves us asking what comes next for humanity in space once this incredible structure is no longer operational.
Its retirement is going to be a massive historical milestone. I mean, it will mark the profound end of 30 years of continuous human presence in orbit. Just really think about that for a second. For 3 unbroken decades, at least a few human beings have been continuously living off our home planet, sleeping, working, and floating among the stars.
But while the physical station might reach the end of its life, its legacy, that's eternal.
All of that hard-won research is actively helping to prepare humanity for a return to the moon and eventually a journey to Mars. The ISS has served as the ultimate stepping stone. It's a wealth of data and experience that's guiding the next generation of space stations and human exploration far, far beyond Earth's orbit.
So I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap up our explainer today. Knowing what you know now, that a $150 billion laboratory carrying human beings, traveling at over 17,000 miles per hour, is quietly streaking across the darkness right now. How will you look at the stars differently the next time you look up? Keep that in mind the next time you step outside on a clear night. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep looking up.